Hey everybody, welcome to the Energy and Matter in Ecosystem Notes. It's the energy transfer notes. So when you're looking at the very front page of your notes, it'll say energy transfers. And this is going to be part 3. So in part 3, we're going to begin talking about matter and energy. Now, how are matter and energy conserved? Energy and matter are constantly moving through the ecosystems. We talked about that in part 1 and 2. Now, we're going to talk about the law of conservation of energy. The law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So energy from the sun is transferred to a producer. And when you see that off to the left, it's the plant. And in this case, it's algae. It produces its own energy using a process called photosynthesis. And energy from those producers is then transferred to consumers once they eat the producers. And if it's a primary consumer, that energy might be transferred to a secondary consumer, and so on and so forth. So that energy is still there. It's just being moved from one organism to another organism to another organism. In other words, it's transformed. The energy didn't quite look the same in me that it might look in plants. Now, all energy transformations are not 100% efficient. Some energy is lost as heat to the environment. And on average, only about 10% of energy, again, this is just an average, only about 10% of energy transferred from organism to organism in a food chain is passed on to the next level. And this is known as the 10% rule. So when energy goes from producers, and then it goes into primary consumers and secondary consumers and tertiary consumers, it continues to lose 10%. So if you start at 100% and you're at 10%, now you're at 1%, and it just keeps going down and down and down and down. And this is why consumers at the very highest levels have the lowest populations. And think about it. How many plants, if it was summer, I know, if you were to look out a window, say at a football field, or if you were walking in a football field, how many different grass plants are there? Or if you went into a woods, how many different plants are there? Count up all the trees, count up all the flowers, count up all the grasses. There's a lot there. But when you get to the very, very top part of the food chain, there aren't nearly as many organisms. That's why they say it has the lowest populations. So here's our next checkpoint. Why does the number of consumers lessen at each trophic level? And again, when we talk about trophic levels, we looked at the trophic pyramid. And as you go up, there's less and less energy. So why does the number of consumers lessen at each trophic level? So go ahead, pause the video, and answer this question with hopefully a full, complete sentence. Unpause the video when you're done. All right, how'd you do? Did you have an answer that looks something like this? When energy is passed in an ecosystem, only 10% of energy is passed on from level to level. This significantly decreases the amount of usable energy transferred from level to level. And if we think about that, and we go back to this that we looked at right here, if only 10% is passed on, you can't have a lot of organisms at this level because not enough energy is being passed on. All right, so hopefully you got this correct. Make sure you ask me questions if you have any. Thanks. Have a good day.